Good evening, iRacers. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and our weekly broadcast of the iRacing Grand Prix series. This is Suzuka International Racing Course, round 2 of the IGPS, and my name is Lee Thompson. I'm joined in the booth, working double duty as tends to be the case by Alex Simpson. Evening, Alex.
Hello everybody, welcome Lee. All good?
The guys are almost finished up with their little pre-race qualifying session, currently led by Martin van Luzenoord with a 1 minute 28.6. We're waiting for the last couple of minutes, as I say, to go by, and then the guys will be lining up on the grid for this this very technical F1 track.
Yeah, very tricky track, and it's difficult for the guys to set the car up, I think, and I think we can see actually how tricky it is just by the numbers. We haven't had a split this week, and kind of expected that to some degree, and yeah, it's going to be tough racing, hard to overtake. That's the thing that always stands out, I think, with Suzuka.
Yeah, and it's very easy to for people to try and force the issue a little bit maybe at times as well, because it can be so challenging. So we've got quite a range in drivers here in this this evening's race, with, as you say, the session not splitting at all. So it could be interesting to see whether there's a little bit of impatience creeps through as different cars trying to make their way through, either where they misqualified or even lapped cars later into the race as well. Yeah, Martin van Luzenoord, as I said, is currently holding on to this pole position, but just nipping ahead of Matt Backham in second is Marin S. Kolak. They have both got a 1 minute 29.04, and Marin then is just 1/1000th of a second quicker with a 4.8, and Matt Backham is currently on a 4.9, about to complete another hot lap. Looks like he may have... No, he is still on it. I thought he backed out of it as he came out with chicane, but he's just crossing over the start-finish line now. Matt Backham blows them all out of the water and improves to 28.491, 10.5 quicker than Van Luzenoord.
Yeah, interesting lineup actually. All three drivers are basically pro drivers or pro in waiting. Marin, of course, has his already. Mac and Martin got their license last season, so I think they're just waiting for the iRacing competition director just to push the button and give them their black stripe. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty close field up front, I would think. All three very, very competitive. Scott Newton doing a good job in 4th place as well.
Yeah, currently it does look quite interesting in terms of going to get little groupings maybe. So as you said, top 3 are off on their own a little bit based on the times of qualifying, and actually then it looks very, very close between 4th and well, even I was going to say 4th to 7th, but even continues down, to be fair, down to sort of 15th. There's only a couple of attempts between each of the cars there, so that could be quite a very busy midfield race going on. We have 40 seconds left now of qualifying. Unlike traditional qualifying, they don't get to complete their lap once the timer hits to 0. Once they get to 0, that will be it, done and dusted. We are running our little informal individual championship based on this this one particular race that we're seeing each week, remember? And I can just quickly run you through the standings to confirm the results from round 1 last week. So finishing up in 1st position last week, so first in our little mini championship is Cam Stark, who's not here this week. Then the 2nd position is Martin van Luzenoord, so he's got a good opportunity to jump ahead and build a bit of space on Cam. Then we've got Alex McFarlane, who I don't think is here either. Then we've got Vincenzo Amico in 4th, Daniel Wenzing in 5th, Matis Dimitro in 6th, Gary Larson in 7th, who is here, Diogo Oliveira in 8th, Frank Ferry Jr. in 9th, and currently in 10th position is Josh Nowak. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shapes out as we continue through the 12-week season.
Yeah, obviously open to anyone. Just jump in on the official iRacing Grand Prix series of race. Even just thinking, trying to remember what the time was. It's 1400 GMT race. There we go. I just wanted to get my GMT right.
1600 GMT. Sorry, Alex.
Oh,
4 o'clock in the afternoon, but yeah, 1600.
So I failed miserably. There you go.
At least I knew what you meant.
Yeah, thanks. I'm sure everybody else did as well, screaming at me right now. But yeah, so head on in. It's just the official race. We've done a little separate series of the points that count, so anyone can jump in and have a little play. When the race is split, it'll be the top race that we cover. But yeah, we'll try and see who wins the second splits as well, and give you guys a shout out as well. So yeah, let's try and make a thing of this this race time. Hopefully next week will be return to a split race.
Right, so qualifying is now officially over, and Mac Bakken did indeed retain that pole position, so 1 minute 28.491 as I said. Martin van Luzenoord is going to line up alongside him in second, with Marin S. Kolak then in third. Scott Newton managed to improve, so he got into the 29s, but didn't improve from his fourth position he already had, so 29.8 now. Fifth position is Zoran Jonik. Sixth position is Stephen Altena. Seventh position is Gary Larson. Eighth position is Rick Feek. Ninth is Francisco Gutierrez. 10th is David Cudmore. That's a name I remember from a good few seasons ago when I was running in F1. Daniel Berenson in 11th. Daniel Cruz in 12th. Diego Gil in 13th. Michael Prudhomme in 14th. Yuki Kayama in 15th. Rafael Gallo in 16th. Vladimir Machevsky in 17th. Dominic Push in 18th. Andrea Gratta in 19th. Jan Spammers in 20th. Jordan Potter in 21st, and then Max Armour in 22nd was the last car to put in a time, but we may or may not have T. Beecham also joining the grid in 23rd, we shall see. So 22, 23 runners for the race.
This first corner, I think it's all going to come down to first corner really for a lot of these drivers. If they get through there, they're certainly not going to win it, but they can lose it through here. It's a statement that gets thrown around quite often. We're just waiting for Mac to line up on the grid, but it's so tight, that second phase of the first turn. It just narrows off, and yeah, drivers will have to be very careful to leave each other a little bit of room, otherwise we could have a big one here.
So right on cue, Mac Bakken has now joined the grid. I think he was the last car to join. Green flag has now dropped right on cue. Round 2 of the IGPS. Mac Bakken gets away very well. Carnage in the background, but Van Luzenoord has a bit of a poor start. He's going to be under pressure from Martin as they come to turn 1. And in fact, Marin got jumped in the end there by Stefan Altena, so he got a good start as well. I think Marin went for that move on Van Luzenoord, just got boxed in slightly. So yeah, he's dropped one place. Everyone else then will confirm the second.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened at the back of the grid there. It just looked like some people got a lot of wheel spin, caught them out. Track temperature's actually quite cool, so there is a lot of grip out there. So yeah, unfortunately, it looks like we've probably lost a couple of drivers because of that. So Dominic Push and Andreas Gratta there as well. So shame about that.
Yeah, and I've just seen a couple of the cars struggling around the hairpin as well. A couple of late braking attempts, and we may have had, I think it was Rick Feek, believe, that we had run into the gravel on exit as well. So yeah, they're all pushing hard, trying to get used to that. And yeah, spins on the inside of the spoon curve there. Very, very lucky to gather that back up. Looks like he might have flipped to somebody else.
Who was that behind? I think it was Jordan. Not sure it was Jordan actually. I think it was somebody else that was just behind him. But yeah, whoever it was just had to get themselves out of that so they didn't hit red. Fortunately, there was no contact, but yeah, they had to run off wide and lost themselves a couple of places as well.
So already they're on to lap 2. Mac Bakken 1.2 seconds ahead of second position Martin van Luzenoord. Third position is Stefan Altini, who's under lots of pressure from Marin Kolak, trying to regain that position he lost off the line from qualifying. We'd expect Marin to be quicker, and he's all over the back of Stefan there, so he certainly is looking to move forward. So yeah, Marin in 4th. Scott Newton is hanging on to them pretty well at the minute. He is down in 5th position. Then in 6th we've got Zoran, and 7th position we've got Daniel Cruz, who has we had whoever was in 7th disappear from the start finish line. So yeah, Daniel Cruz now in 7th. Francisco Gutierrez up into 8th. Diego Gil in 9th, and then currently taking up that 10th position is Yuki Kayama. So somebody else just struggling at the hairpin as well that time. That was Francisco Gutierrez. He went very, very deep, and now he's under pressure from Diego Gil as well.
On board with Marin here as we exit the spoon curve. Got a good run. It's going to have a little look maybe into 130R.
Yeah, it looks to go up the inside. It's a very, very tricky corner to try and make any kind of move, and in the end Marin backs out of it, has another go as they come into the casino triangle, turns straight across the nose of Stefan there. That looked a little bit harsh from the camera angle I was, but Stefan was ready for it, and they both continued on. Scott Newton now is right with these guys as they were scrapping for his last two corners. He's got a little bit of draft as well. Marin is worried about Stefan catching him in the draft there into turn 1. Stefan looks for the outside, cuts back to the inside for turn 2, but nothing doing for now, and I think we can expect now Marin to scamper off towards Martin, and Scott Newton now trying to apply the pressure on Stefan.
Yeah, how quickly that's reversed there. Man really has just flown away through the S's there, so being held up by quite a bit. Perhaps a difference in fuel strategy going on out there. We're expecting the drivers today to make the one stop. It is possible to do it with no stop. The fuel tanks are large enough, and the pit lane is quite slow, so I wonder if anybody's going to try a bit of an out-of-the-box curveball strategy. I mean, I think the tyres take a bit of a pounding around here, so I'm not sure it's favoured, but it is possible.
Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to see a bit of strategy to change things up. So yeah, Stefan did particularly well to get into that third position off the line. He qualified in 6th position, so already just on cue he has that same half spin at spoon curve that we saw from Rick, a lap or two ago, and Scott Newton just about manages to dive by, as does Zoran Jonik. So yeah, poor Stefan there. He's dropped 2 positions, and now he is back to his 6th position that he qualified in.
Have a little replay, see what happened there. No issues coming out of the hairpin. Looks like it's going to be just a simple mistake going in.
I think we're going to find he goes up on the curb on mid-corner, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit too wide. Can catch it like that. I have to say, it took me a little while to dial that out of the set, and it can still bite you every now and again, but it was a problem. I had one set that was really nice, but it was terrible through there, so had to abandon it.
Yeah, it's easy to get to run up on that curve and for it to have a railroad train track type of effect, and for it to just continue straight on as well. But yeah, luckily for him and for those around, they managed to continue unscathed for now. So it looks like the top 10 are just stretching out a little bit as they're all feeling their way around the track. Remember, we're running dynamic weather, so they've all had to adapt to qualifying in a race.
Yeah, I need to stop you just there. They actually, there's been a little bug found, so they had to switch them all back to fixed weather. So we're back to last season's default weather. So drivers should be quite familiar with that out there.
Okay, good. One less thing for them to worry about for now.
Yeah, it turns out people were racing with different weathers, so it was yeah, causing mayhem. A pretty big bug, I would say.
Yeah, glad that it has been spotted and identified, and I believe that was Philip Labert, our old friend from the Skip Barber Championship, who we did lots of broadcasts for. Skip Barber 2K, that was it, wasn't it? Skip 2K Cup. I'm watching Stefan challenging Zoran Jonic now for the that 5th position back. As they come over the start-finish line, Stefan's got much better top speed and is just going to drive straight past Zoran before they even get into turn 1, and he is off and away up into 5th position, looking to see if he can possibly close back on Scott Newton. Scott Newton last time by 31.44. Be interesting to see how Stefan can improve this next lap. Now he's got a bit of clear air.
Watching a replay of that overtake. Looks pretty straightforward. Turn 1, got a good draft coming out. Zoran there tried to defend the inside, but just didn't have the straight line speed to be able to do it. Been a few overtakes actually already this race, and we said it's quite a difficult track to overtake, but drivers proving us wrong somewhat out there.
Yeah, no, I feel like a little bit maybe was from how much some of the cars did struggle off the line. I think that was a bit of a shake-up in the initial order in those opening laps after the run to turn 1, and that's yeah, just giving us a bit of opportunity for people to try and get themselves back into maybe the position that matches their pace a little bit more. So let's have a quick scan through the top 10 again for the moment. Matt Backham is already crossing the start-finish line to begin lap 6. 1 minute 30.1 last time by. Half a straight behind then is Martin van Luzenoord. He matched Mac that time by, so good lap time for both of those. Marin Kolak though looks very, very quick at the minute. Certainly about last time, half a second quicker. In fact, I get my numbers mixed up, I do apologise. 1 minute 30.1 from Mac Beckham, 1 minute 31.1 from Martin van Loosenhorst. So actually it was Martin that was a second slower than Mac, and then Marin that was half a second quicker than Martin. Fourth position, then we've got Scott Newton, who is all on his own now. Stefan Altina, as we said, up into that fifth position from Zoran, and Zoran now is going to be under pressure in that sixth position from Francisco Gutierrez any moment. In seventh position currently is Francisco. Daniel Cruz then in eighth, being chased by Diego Gil in ninth, and Michael Prudhomme, that's another name I remember from a few seasons ago, I think, currently in 10th position. He looks to be under lots of pressure from Gary Larson, who I think must have made a mistake in the beginning of a lap. He was in 10th position with Vladimir right behind him as well. So that's a nice little free car battle there for that 10th position.
Yeah, and they've got Yuki catching those guys up as well. So 4 cars going to be very, very close in a short second, I think. There. Yeah, we've got a change of position as well, a little bit further back. Sorry, that's Jan Spammers there, just taking Raphael. Pretty straightforward pass, just sort of flew by him. I don't know if there was some sort of problem. Let's have a little look back on a replay, see if there was an issue that we missed. That just looked like got a much better run out of the hairpin. Used the draft. Oh, he slows down. He definitely slows down. So very odd. So not sure what the problem is for Raphael there, but carried on his way. So.
And already we're on to lap 7 of this 31 lap race. Any cars that are going to be making that pit stop we'd expect to be sort of 60-66% sort of region into the race, I presume, Alex?
Yeah, I think so. I would say lap 18-19 is when the window is going to open for our leaders. I'd be surprised if they come in any earlier than that, but I might be wrong. Marin looks quite quick. So does Mac actually. So, but maybe they might come in lap or so earlier, but not much before. Martin definitely looks quite heavy in comparison to those two, and we saw Watkins, him and Cam Stark went particularly long into that race, so maybe he's got a little bit more fuel on board there, but losing too much time at the moment to really make it work, I would think.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the differences between qualifying positions and current race position. The only car that looks like they are a bit further back than you might expect based on their qualifying is Gary Larson, qualified in 7th, currently down in 11th. Maybe that's a candidate for a no-stop race, but it's going to be a big ask. Otherwise, you'd have to say that purely based on those two numbers, you'd think that the rest of the top half of the field, at least, is going to be making that one stop.
Yeah, better lap for Gary that last time by as well. Let's just bring him up on the screen. He did a 34 the previous lap, but back down into 32.8 and actually closed up Michael ahead of him just a little bit. So I would think I would have thought if he stuck around the 34s, that would have been a definite no-stop strategy. But that looks more like it's a straightforward one-stop. But when he'll be in, we don't know.
So you were saying about Yuki Kawama trying to close on the cars in front, so he is just half a second or so at the minute behind Vladimir, battling for 12th and 13th position as they go under the unique crossover that we have here. Of course, Suzuka, this figure of 8 configuration that you don't see really at any other large circuit, certainly of an F1 status. It's absolutely unique. As they come into Spoon now, we've seen these guys struggle on the curbs on exits, and let's see how they both treat it. They're both pretty cautious, quite rightly. Maybe Yuki, if anything, just slightly more aggressive mid-corner to try and get out that outside curb. But for now, it seems that Vladimir has got him fairly comfortable. He's just built that gap a little bit on the lap time position.
Yeah, closest battle on is actually Stefan Altina there. He's dropped down to 9th place. Lee, I know he did lose a couple of places, but I'm guessing he had something else. Yeah, 140 that lap. Let's see if we can jump back and see what happened there. I'm not sure we'll go back far enough. Let's have a look.
And whilst Alex is finding that, I'll just keep
It's Spoon again. Yeah, Spoon again. He's gone all the way around this time as well. Cost him big time.
Yeah, so that's twice now for him, isn't it? We saw him have that moment just in front of Scott Newton earlier on. So it's a tough corner, but just making that a little bit of an adapt maybe when you discover that problem that you're having. I was just going to say that I'm watching Francisco Gutierrez currently running in 5th position. He's still got Zoran Jonic pretty close behind him. That time by though, actually Francisco, or last time by actually, Francisco was a good 8/10 quicker. So you'd expect that gap to continue to build, but they look pretty close for now. Much closer though at the minute is Diego Gil and Stefan Altina, as we were talking about a moment ago, battling for 8th and 9th position, sorry, as they come into 130R. Stefan looks much quicker through that corner there, too far back to make a lunge really, the Casino Triangle, but he needs to be lining Diego up ready for a move before turn 1. We've seen actually Stefan seems to have pretty good top speed. He's been almost driving past halfway down straight, and looks to be the same again here.
Yeah, definitely got his nose up the inside. It's going to be pretty straightforward again into turn 1. Nice move. Got to get that exit out of the Casino Triangle sorted to pull that move off, and certainly nailed it there. Nice to see the Mercedes livery on Diego's car there as well. It does look quite nice, I have to say. Works well with the old style Williams FW31.
And just behind them we've got Michael Prudhomme in his Ferrari livery. He's under lots and lots of pressure from Gary Larson, so it seems like Gary's trying to recover some positions lost from his qualifying. In fact, Michael must have got a slowdown, mustn't he? I didn't really notice it through the corner. Perhaps he got sideways on the exit, but that's Stefan again there, is it?
Yeah, it is. He's having a shocker out there. Lots of little mistakes, really struggling. But yeah, Michael won't be happy with that. I think he's let Gary go there, but then he's got caught up behind there. So yeah, I'm not sure what it is.
And in fact, it's Daniel Cruz. In fact, so yeah, Daniel that time actually, I think that ended up struggling. Stefan, sorry, is in the purple and white car, so he is a little bit further forward. So apologies, Stefan. It's Daniel Cruz who you were battling with. Michael Prudhomme under pressure again, going into Casino Triangle, this time from Vladimir, who's still got Yuki Kayama right behind him. So this is going to be a 3-car train now very quickly, with Michael Prudhomme desperately trying to stay at the front of it. And back up front, looking at Matt Backen again, he's dipped into the 129s now, so 29.7 last time by. Martin van Luzenoord has got 1 minute 30.8, so he was more than a second quicker last time by, and he is being gradually caught by Marin. So after Marin had that tough first lap and a half or so, and had to get past Stefan it was at the beginning, wasn't it? He has definitely closed on Martin since we have last checked in there. Scott Newton still running around in 4th, very lonely race for Scott. It doesn't look like he's got anyone in view ahead, and definitely doesn't have anyone in view behind either. He is already coming up to 130R, and the car behind Francisco Gutierrez is just coming through Spoon now. Gutierrez in 5th, and behind him Zoran Jonic went very wide through Spoon curve. He is in 6th position, very glad, I'm sure, that there's plenty of tarmac runoff there. Stefan Altina then is currently in 7th with Diego Gil in 8th. Gary Larson all over the back of him in 9th. This is a nice train of cars now, isn't it? So we've got Diego Gil in 8th, Gary Larson in 9th, Daniel Cruz in 10th, Michael Prudhomme in 11th, Vladimir Maczewski in 12th, and Yuki Kayama in 13th. Sorry, so yeah, nice 5-6 car train there.
Yeah, great little battle actually, starting to form up quite nicely. A few drivers making some mistakes, some letting others drivers go, and all of a sudden we've got a great little battle out there. They'll all be loving this, I think, at this point in the race.
And Stefan is the car that wants to keep focusing on getting these clean laps in after a couple of issues earlier on. He's just about got enough space for those guys behind for them not to be in his draft or anything, but he definitely doesn't want to get drawn into them. Last time by he was a good chunk quicker than the cars behind, so he should be able to continue to build that gap if he can just keep it clean. Otherwise, who's the car in that group that looks to be in the car making the move? I would say that is the two guys at the back of that group, in fact. So the fastest cars of that little pack are Vladimir in the green car and Yuki Kayama in the white and blue livery car. They were both quicker than every one of those cars in front of them. So that's the way we want it to get a bit of entertainment, a bit of overtaking going on.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about 5 laps out from our pit window as we think it will be. So let's see what who's the first one to jump in, because that's certainly going to set them on their back foot across in this series. With the fuel going in, it tends to be that the cars get faster over the course of the run, and we'll see more overcuts rather than undercuts like we do with the current modern day Formula 1 cars. So yeah, so the key thing really is just to try and get a little bit more fuel in, but not be too heavy that you actually fall back. So 6 cars out there going to hope they threw the right dice today.
Yeah, Diego Gill under lots of pressure again still from Gary Larson as they scream into turn 1. Very, very tricky entry then into turn 2. You're trying to slow the car down as you're mid-corner still in turn 1. Vladimir maybe just dropped off the back of Michael Prudhomme a little bit on that lap, so they were actually a few tenths slower than the cars behind, so perhaps a slight error on that lap from Vladimir maybe. But those guys ahead now all into the 32s, which they were not on the lap before.
Yeah, it's interesting actually to see how the whole pack just all slowly builds up speed, but they're sort of fairly relative to one another, so no one really closes up or pulls away that much more. So everybody's got their balance about the same.
And as you said, it's such a tricky place to follow someone, certainly through the middle of the circuit. It's not until you get that run to turn 1 and then the run out of Spoon Curve that this group is coming out on now that you really get a good solid opportunity to get a run on someone and have that potential for an overtake. Just in this half a lap, Vladimir and Yuki Kayama have closed right back on that pack again, so they definitely have got the pace. That was just a slightly scruffy lap last time round. Back in the front of that little group, Gary Larson still half a second or so behind, and otherwise it looks like Michael Prudhomme should be the car that would be next under pressure. Let's have a look at the difference in the lap times that time by. 33.3 for Prudhomme and 32.8 for Vladimir. So it's fluctuating a little bit, each time by. So the only car in that group otherwise that was in the 32s was Diego at the front. The guys in the middle there were in the 33s again that time by.
Great shot through the S's at the moment. Such a technical part of the circuit, and one of the best flowing sections in the world. And it's awesome to see all those cars just weaving their way through it. I think only Silverstone can match that with Beckett's, Maggots, and Chapel.
Yeah, it's a real. We're saying about attendance maybe not typically being great here at Suzuka, but it's a real driver's circuit, and it's one that certainly we all enjoy. I think here at Apex Racing TV and Apex Racing UK. So you get that S's really hooked up. You get Degna 1, Degna 2 hooked up, as well as that Spoon Curve, and it really is an enjoyable lap there. And just great to see one of these historic circuits that we get to run in our FW31.
We're still all eagerly hoping that we get the new McLaren for next season. We don't know any more about that, unfortunately. No insider information, but I'm pretty sure we're all hopeful that it will come for season 4.
Yeah, it feels like it's gone maybe just slightly quiet on that recently, doesn't it? But we'll keep our fingers crossed. Say they absolutely want it, I think, for WCS next year, don't they? And really, if the pros can be using that for season 4, then that would be the best way to go about it, I think. So again, I think we are just really waiting for these pit stops now. We're not really seeing any movement in this nice little group in the middle. So the lap times are fluctuating a little bit lap on lap, but nobody is really able to get closer enough to challenge. And to be honest, they may all be at a phase now where they just want to look after their tyres. As I see Gary Larson run wide on Degna 1, right on cue. Daniel Cruz now is going to get a run out of Degna 2. He's on the wrong side for the hairpin though. Is he going to try and switch back and dive up inside? He thinks better of it. But yeah, Gary Larson, they're quite lucky. Often if you run wide on Degner 1, you don't stop until you hit the barrier.
Yeah, very lucky there, and would have to have been a pretty forceful move from Daniel to get through. Just couldn't quite get alongside to make the move, so in the end decides best to wait. Also, I think there's a lot of drivers out there now just waiting to see what everybody else's strategy is. Do we need to overtake if they come in a little bit sooner? Then they'll have to do it on the track, but those that think they might be a little bit longer than the rest, probably just sitting there waiting, patient game, or as Cruz goes a bit deep into the final chicane there.
So the leaders now just getting a little bit of lap traffic as they are coming through the field, so that'll be interesting to see if anything really develops through there. Matt Backham is way out in front, good sort of 13.5 seconds or so down the road from Martin van Luzenoord, but gradually Marin Nikolak has been closing on Martin, but a little bit slower last lap actually, half a second slower last time by. I've
noticed actually that Martin's just been picking up a little pace just a little bit these last few laps, so in about 2 or 3 laps he's actually been able to edge back away from Marin, so yeah, maybe Martin's gone for a balance that's a little bit better towards the end of the run, or he's just not abusing his tyres quite as much out there.
Ooh, and Daniel Cruz having a big wiggle trying to get on the power out of the hairpin. Michael Prudhomme now's got a good run as they head towards Spoon again. Be optimistic to make a move, but he certainly managed to close a lot. Daniel Cruz, is he going to be able to control it in the middle of the corner? He does, absolutely. But yes, big effort trying to get on the power coming out of the hairpin. That's just allowed a bit of breathing space again for Gary Larson ahead to try and close back on Diego Gilligan.
We all know about that hairpin corner, don't we, Lee? It's so much time can be gained or lost there, and it's so easy to light the tyres up coming out of that and get that horrible wheel spin there. So yeah, just got a few drivers coming to pits. That's Michael's in and Vladimir, I think. Yep. Yes, Vladimir as well, and another driver behind them. Who
Jan Spammers.
So Jan's in as well.
So yeah, interesting that those were the first guys in. Vladimir's very close in pit lane, so it would be interesting to see if he manages to leap ahead in the pit stop itself. They're pretty close to each other in pit lane. Both look like they hit the marks pretty cleanly. They shouldn't be stationary for very long. I hear the revs building straight away already, and they continue off as they entered. Jan maybe just lost a tiny bit of time compared to them, but all as they were. It'll be interesting to see how they come out now compared to the others. They are now a lap down, by the way. Matt Backham's continued by.
Yeah, Vladimir's stop was a lot quicker than Michael's, but not enough to actually get a jump. 8.5 compared to 9.2. So yeah, Michael perhaps just a little bit slow in getting to his marks or something there, or the pit crew just a little bit slower than normal.
And Gary Larson closed very quickly on Diego Gil this last lap, so he's right back on his gearbox now. Yeah, 0.8 of a second quicker the last lap, and I dare say that again or better on the lap they are on. Gary Larson may even shape up for a move into Cena Triangle. No, it drops back a bit through 130R. Be interested to see if the guys now react to the pit stops before. A bit deep there from Diego. Gary Larson should get a good run out the corner. Diego and Gary Larson in. And Daniel Cruz continues by.
Cruz going to be in a good position there. He can try and use this additional lap, and Yuki in as well behind them, and that's who's that also coming? David Cudmore. We haven't spoken much about David in this race, but vastly improved is David compared to when we used to race him back in the day. Great to see actually that you keep spending some time in the car, you definitely pick up a lot of pace.
And Diego Gil gets away out of pit lane. Gary Larson though is still stationary. Yeah, so pit lane speeding maybe it feels like.
Yeah, there could be a pit lane speed in there.
He's finally away. Going to lose another place. Just about gets off the pit limiter ahead of David Cudmore there. But all of those cars he was battling, streaming on by. And he's even behind Jan Spammers now, who was even off the back of that group. So yeah, not good for Gary. We saw he had the pace, so he may be able to close. Martin van Luzenoord has found this traffic all over the racetrack in front of him though, so that's difficult for Martin.
Into the pits and away again, 7.2 second stop for Mac, so he's done. It's worth pointing out as well that Yuki managed to jump Michael and Vladimir as well, so that one additional lap was all good. So Daniel Cruz definitely needs to nail this lap to try and get that whole group as well.
Yeah, and Martin van Loozenord had a little bit of heart-in-mouth moment as Vladimir went a little bit hot out of Degner 1 and just barely managed to keep it under control, but he did, and then let him through. After that, Stefan Altina is in pit lane. Zoran Jonic is also in there from 6th and 7th position.
This isn't going to help Martin at all. He's got the opportunity now to really eat into Mac's lead. Mac coming on, I think it was lap 18, so perhaps one lap earlier than we thought. So it was a little bit lighter out there. Let's see how heavy Martin is. I'm suspecting he's probably going to go to about 20, but yeah, this traffic actually has come out the worst possible place for him, so it does indeed continue around.
And Yuki is still continuing as well, with Martin trying to show him in his mirrors. And Michael will be disappointed that he's still got Vladimir for very close company behind as well. He's been under pressure from Vladimir for a good number of laps leading up to his pit stops, and still just within half a second there as they continue by. Martin gets by Yuki as well, and now he finally has got a little bit of clear track ahead of him.
Marin's into the pits as well, so Marin was lighter than Loozenord as well, so that makes sense as to why Marin was closing back in for a while as well. So looks like a long stop though.
Gary Larson back in the pit lane. So Gary Larson's had real problems, so he's out of the running now for that mid-pack. Scott Newton in.
22.4 seconds for Marin. Newton comes out right behind him, so right back in with a shout.
Yeah, very strange there for Marin. So whether that was
got to be a
pit lane speeding as well. Yeah, so the guy's struggling out there a little bit with etiquette in pit lane, but Marin now is just going to have to settle for that 3rd position, I think.
Yeah, he come out in front of Scott, so he's not really got to worry too much there. He had the pace to jump away from Scott earlier on. Pretty sure he can do that again. Francisco with 7.7 stop. He actually lost ground to Zoran. I think Zoran was behind him when he appeared. Might be mistaken, but they were relatively close. But yeah.
Yeah, Francisco Gutierrez was indeed ahead of Zoran, so that's worked out very, very well for Zoran there. Francisco is under pressure from Stefan Altina just behind as well. But yeah, that big group then really did get blown apart with the very different times of pit stops and a couple of pit lane speeding issues as well. So we'll still got a little bit of waiting to see how things exactly shake out. But closest little battle now in that group is Michael Prudhomme and Vladimir Marchevsky.
As the drivers make their way to the hairpin, I think Vladimir will want to get by really quickly because I'm pretty sure he's got the pace over Michael. We saw that earlier on, and he'll be gutted that he couldn't eke out the fuel, get an extra lap in, but especially when you can see how much of an advantage it's give to Yuki ahead of them. So 3 seconds away now, and closing in on Diego. So driver who still hasn't pitted yet, Daniel Cruz.
And Martin van Loozenord has yet to pit as well. So he's just coming through Casino Triangle now. We'll see if he pits in now at the end of lap 21 or not. He doesn't, he continues on still, so he is going very, very long.
See what his lap time is. He crosses the line. Well, that time is a 1:30.0. He's going to need to be in the reasonable 29s, I would think. So I wonder if this is another case of like we've seen with some of the guys just going a little bit too long, and they've taken the best out of the tyre, and actually the drivers who pit, as Backham does a 29.5. So yeah, that fresh tyre actually is worth more than the lighter car at this point. So just perhaps miscalculation on Martin's part there, gone a little bit too long.
Yeah, certainly going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, you know, the way this particular race has turned out, obviously Mac was way down the road, so there was no real pressure either way. But certainly if he did have a tight battle to deal with, then he could be struggling. He's lucky that Marin had that issue in his pit stop, but otherwise it could have been a little bit more costly.
Having a little battle with Jan Spammers and David Cudmore here. This is for
and they've
13th
got Matt
and 14th.
Backham coming by, so David Cudmore allows Matt through, so that just breaks that battle a little bit for the moment, but David may just be able to hang on to his coattails and take advantage when Jan has to do the same in a minute.
And driver not giving any room for margin is Mack as he went through Spoon, all over that curve.
Martin van Luzenoord into pit lane at the end of lap 22.
Yeah, just 9 laps on the tyres. I mean, he will be very quick in this section, but he really has just lost too much time. He wasn't that far behind Mack, so definitely think, yeah, it's just drivers just sometimes just going a little bit too long. Sometimes the overcut is not the best thing. You've got to work out how quick you're going to be when you come out on the tyres, and I think that time just overdone it a little bit. Comfortable second, but I feel like he would have been a little bit closer to Mack had he gone for a slightly lighter strategy at the start.
Looks like Daniel Cruz just had an issue coming through Degner 1. Just cut to him as he recovered. I don't think he's going to have lost any positions through that, but Diego Gil now and Yuki Kayama are much closer behind than they were a lap ago.
That was straight out of the pits as well, so he just had his pit that lap, and he got very sideways coming out the stop. I mean, very fast stop, 5.2 seconds, that's what you get when you only need a little bit of fuel, so you know you do get that advantage as well. But yeah, let's just stay with him as he goes through the S's. I'm guessing he's got cold tyres at this point. It does take a little time just to get them up, and it's more you have to adapt to the fact that you've got a heavy car again. Pressures aren't always spot on, but car usually a little bit quicker on the cold tyres, so let's just he's going through Dunlop curve now. Everything seems normal into Degner 1. Oh, he just catches the curb, smashes it in fact, and he was lucky. It gave him like, well, he had a 720 there, and then managed to point forwards at the end of it, and just continue. So if you're going to do it in style.
David Cudmore coming past now Jan Spammers as they head into turn 1. David Cudmore in the inside. Jan Spammers goes much deeper into the corner though, and does well to defend. David Cudmore caught very, very quickly that last lap as I was watching whilst we were seeing the replay there. So David Cudmore is going to be passed at some point, but Jan doing a good job defending into turn 1 for now.
The difference between the drivers through the S's section as well. So critical for lap time actually, just to get the line just so through there. It's often missed by many a driver. Actually, just what is the sweet line through there. So Cudmore looks quick though.
Yeah, he does. And someone else that looks quick is Francisco Gutierrez. We're saying that he was ahead of Zoran Jonic before the pit stops, and he's closed quite a lot since I last looked, so I think that's going to be the next battle to be keeping an eye on as well.
Yeah, just
right on cue, sorry Alex, David Cudmore just struggles in the middle of Spoon Curve, as we've seen cars do a few times. Little half spin, 2-foot hacks I expect to keep it straight again, and he's got it all to do again. He's a good few seconds back again from Jan.
Take a quick look at that from on board, if we can get there in time. I think it'll already happen. Yeah, I actually can hear somebody else at the same time having some issue there as well, but yeah, it's not major from David, but yeah, like you say, he jumped on it pretty quickly and managed to get it back under control.
So now that these pit stops are all shaken out, let's have a very, very quick skim through the current order. Matt Backham, we know, in the lead, currently, or last time, by 13.7 seconds ahead of Martin van Luzenoord. So they've ended up relatively even after all that. It was about 13 and a half when they came into pit stop, I think. Marion Colac lost lots of times, we know, in pit lane, so he's in third, but 37 seconds back. Scott Newton then in fourth. Zoran, as we just saw, very, very close with Francisco Gutierrez, fifth and sixth. Stefan Altina is battling with Diego Gil now, that I'm seeing on board. So, sorry, that's Yuki Kayama, sorry, battling with Diego Gil. So Daniel Cruz a little bit further down the road in 8th. Then in 9th position is Diego Gil battling with Yuki Kayama in 10th position. And in fact, they are the last cars not to have been lapped. They got Mac Backham right behind them as well. So Mac is going to lap pretty close to 7th, 8th position, I think.
Yeah, looking at the drivers, yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe up to about 7th is where he's going to get to.
So we'll see how Yuki deals with. Oh, as Mac has to really get out of it on the exit of Casino Triangle there. I think Yuki tried to get out of the way and they just ended up climbing over each other a little bit. So Yuki's lost a lot of time to Diego, but he'll hopefully can gain that back when Diego has Mac to deal with also. Scrolling back through the field, Zoran has still got a similar sort of gap, half a second or so to Gutierrez behind, but actually Gutierrez has pulled along Stefan Altina as well, so that's becoming a 3-car battle for 5th position.
Yeah, and it's fair to say Altina's actually the fastest of 3. Just had these problems with the car in this race, so just stepping out from underneath him. I think Spoon and the hairpin and all sorts actually. So yeah, not a race that he'll want to remember too fondly of, but of course if he can try and get these couple of positions and get top 5, it won't be all bad.
And if he does get that top 5, then that's probably as good as he would have got without his instance. Anyway, he may have been fairly close to Scott Newton, maybe, but otherwise everyone else would have been ahead of him regardless, I think. So yeah, he'll have done very well to recover that. As Gutierrez has a little bit of a struggle through the second half of the Casino Triangle, drops off the back of Zoran a little bit more than they were as they entered. Last time by, 31.8 for Zoran, 32.1 for Gutierrez. I dare say most of that was just in that last corner there, and a 31.9 for Stefan Altina. So you say that's going to continue to close up a little bit as we finish up these last 5 laps that are on there.
Yeah, actually race quite short. I know obviously all of the racers tried to creep in just under the hour mark, so but yeah, this one just seems a little bit shorter. Where are we? Oh no, not true. Got 5 minutes left until the hour as Altina gets out of shape again, so it's quick, but I just think that car is on the edge of control all the time, and it's actually costing him more. Losing time might be worth just slowing that down a bit and just trying to balance it out, so actually it's a little bit safer to drive. Probably end up 20 seconds up the road. Having a look at Yuki, he's getting ever so close, just 3/10 coming out of the hairpin. These drivers are very similar on pace and have been pretty much all race actually, and this is when it is difficult to overtake. You've got somebody who's maybe a 10th or so slower ahead of you.
Yeah, it looked like he got a pretty good run out of Spoon Curve, should have given him an opportunity to get a good drive, but hasn't really closed a huge amount in that slipstream. Closed more just through 130R itself probably, as they're now heavy on the brakes into that Casino Triangle. Daniel Cruz, it feels like, might be getting drawn towards him a little bit as well. We'll see what the difference in the lap time was that time by. Daniel Cruz, yeah, 1 minute 36.4. Yeah, definitely a problem in lap time. I think that was perhaps where he let Mac back him through. 36.4 for Daniel Cruz, and Diego Gil and Kayama were 3 seconds quicker.
Yeah, crazy amount of time lost there actually. So I think that's going to be not good news for Yuki actually, because as soon as Diego gets the draft of Daniel, and he'll have no chance whatsoever of getting past, and he's relying on Daniel making the move. Diego making the move on Daniel to be able to get back past him as well. So the one trouble when you become the second car in the train, it's very difficult to actually get a move done.
And Daniel Cruz goes very, very deep, it looked like, into the hairpin there. Managed to square off the corner a little bit, got on the power all right, but looks like he's struggling just to maintain that pace a little bit, as perhaps his tyres are, well, it's a short stint at the end of this race, and shouldn't have too many problems there, so maybe just pushing a little bit too hard.
Oh, we've got a driver off there on the inside. Is that a lapped car, or...?
That was,
must be.
Yeah, T. Beecham, who did not take part in qualifying, just lined up, I believe, on the grid, so he gets out of the way of those 3 cars coming by. So Mac Backham about to complete lap 28. He had a little bit of a slow lap last time by, trying to get past Daniel Cruz, who we said also had a bit of a struggle. So Daniel Cruz, yeah, back up to pace again that time by 32.6 compared to a 32.8 for Diego, and Yuki was also 32.8. So yeah, it looks like that's stagnating just a little bit now, maybe. Not really expecting to see much more movement there. David Cudmore's built a little bit of a gap now over Jan Spammers after making that move earlier on. In fact, that must have been off camera because we saw him have his little attempt and not quite get it to come off.
The problem
we saw him have his half spin.
Lusenord, he's in the pits. Something's gone on with Lusenord there. Have a look, we've got a poor angle. I don't know if there's anything wrong with the car. Let's jump back and watch a replay.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a bent front wing.
Not quite far enough. Already got problems coming down the back straight into 130R as well, so I'm guessing this must be out of spoon. Jump it back even further just to see what happened. Pulled it up and retired as well, so that's his race over with. Not good. He would have had a pretty strong position in the championship had he been able to finish. There's just some traffic ahead of him right now, but I don't think he's close enough at this point. Coming into Spoon. I wonder if this is going to be on the exit of Spoon or... Exactly that. Oh, hits the wall hard. That car is done for. Just got all out of shape coming out of the exit there, and actually spits to the right, not to the left, which we normally see. Yeah, the car's crabbing all over the place, so...
Yeah, very unusual. I mean, at this point in the race, it's easy just to lose that concentration, especially if you've been running on your own for the majority of the race. But yeah, unfortunate for Martin. There should have been some good points, as you said. It'll be interesting when we have a look at the finishing results here as to who actually might be in a strong position for the championship, because I don't really think anyone from last week is at the front of this field, so we shall see. But for now, Diego Gil is under lots more pressure from Yuki Kiyama. Yuki had a much better lap last time by, and he is challenging much harder again as they come into his last couple of laps. Oh, and in fact, there we go, Diego Gil struggles to get on the power off the hairpin, and Yuki Kiyama is going to drive straight by him. So yeah, Diego just struggling his last couple of laps now. Yuki now has finally got that bit of clear air after being tucked up behind for, what, most of the Grand Prix, it feels like.
Yeah, you're right, I'm actually looking now, everybody struggled who was in the last race, so it's going to be pretty much pretty tight after this result comes in the championship. So I'll update those points at some point this evening, so and I'll post this video. It's already on the racing forum, but I'll post it in the archive section as well as Matt comes around to start his final lap.
And really then scrolling through the field, I don't think we've got anything else happening, so Francisco Gutierrez hasn't managed to close on Zoran. If anything, he's under a little bit more pressure now from Stefan Altina as they're in the penultimate lap for them, just as they come hard on the brakes into their hairpin. Gutierrez takes a much tighter line. Stefan going to be all over the back of him on exits. Gutierrez just couldn't get on the power because of the position of his car. Stefan looking to climb up his gearbox as they come into Spoon curve. Is he going to dive up inside? Thinks about it, backs off. Gutierrez runs wide. They're going to just about run side by side through the exit. Gutierrez should get good drive from the outside line, and yeah, Stefan has to tap back in for now, back into the slipstreams. They come to 130R. And
get the run,
here we go. Yeah, goes to the inside. A bit of movement from both of them, and just about both going to stay out the wall. Poor Stefan there's come much worse off. Gutierrez, it looked like, managed to gather it back up and continue on. It looked, yeah, it's a tough move to make into 130R. It's tough whether you're on the inside or the outside there to judge the speed you're going to go for the corner, but it just looked like Gutierrez cut across a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Didn't give him a room. Alternatina was there. He needed the room at least. As Mac comes across to take the victory.
Yeah. Congratulations to Mac. Storming victory. He's going to be, what, 30-40 seconds ahead of the next car, I think, with Martin then being out. So very lonely race there for Mac, but I guess in a way that's just how you would want it. Marine now is just coming into Casino Triangle. He's going to be taking that second position. Scott Newton then coming through 130R. podium for Scott Newton. He is going to be delighted with that, I'm sure. So after qualifying, I believe it was 4th on the grid off the top of my head. Yeah, podium position, very good job. And then scrolling way back, 4th position, they're just coming out of the hairpin, so we'll wait for them to get a bit further around the track before we confirm their positions.
Yeah, we still might see a little battle. It seems like Zoran's struggling all of a sudden because Francisco's diving up behind him really quickly. I mean, considering he had that coming together.
Yeah, he has closed right back up again, you're right. So as they come into Casino Triangle, closes hugely just on the brakes. I wonder if Zoran's struggling with fuel maybe. He's just having to coast it in. Francisco's going to be all over the back of him on exit. Is Zoran going to cough and splutter over the line? The line is straight away, isn't it? So that is it done. But yeah, very close for Gutierrez. So yeah, Zoran gets that 4th position. 5th position in from Francisco Gutierrez. 6th position is going to be Daniel Cruz. Is it? It shows a 7th on my timing, but that's just somebody not updating, I guess.
Yeah.
Of course, the car from the incident at 130R last time by, I presume. So yeah, Daniel Cruz about to come over the line, and that's going to be the... Oh no, he's into pit lane. He's already completed his lap. Right, just shows how far everyone was apart from each other. So let's confirm the results as I get myself in a muddle scrolling through the track. Yeah, so Mac Backham did get 1st position, so 37 seconds ahead of Marion Colac. We know Marion had a slow stop, but even so, that still would have put Mac a good 30 seconds down the road anyway. Scott Newton then, yeah, lonely for most of the race, but a very satisfying, I'm sure, 3rd position. Yeah, less than 0.2 of a second then between Zoran Jonic in 4th and Francisco Gutierrez in 5th. It was Stefan Altina, in fact, who finished in 6th. We guessed about where Mac would lap up to. We thought maybe 7th, 8th, and yeah, 6th position he got to. Daniel Cruz then, yeah, in 7th. Yuki Kiyama did get that 8th position ahead of Diego Gil. Michael Prudhomme finished in 10th with David Cudmore in 11th. Jan Spammers in 12th. Vladimir Marchevsky must have had an issue. Did we see that? I can't remember now. In 30th, because he finished a fair bit behind the cars he was battling with. Rafael Gallo in 14th. Max Armour in 15th. Gary Larson with issues pitting twice, 6th and 16th. T. Beecham in 17th, Martin van Luzenoord. Then we saw retire, as did everyone else further down. So yeah, 17 cars took the checkered flag.
Pretty standard race as far as Suzuka goes. A little bit about the strategy. That was a big gaggle in the middle of that race, and that got broke apart a little bit with the strategies as well. But yeah, some dramas at the end made it a little bit more interesting. But Mac just dominant, to be honest. I think even without Martin's problems, he was still going to be about 13-14 seconds clear. So very strong pace out there.
Yeah, and Martin didn't really have any other particular issues that spring to mind during a race. He did have a clean start. He got off into 2nd position, so it's not like he was tucked up behind someone else and lost a lot of time early on. Just Mac had the pace. Yeah, Zoran confirming that yeah, he was indeed struggling with fuel as we suspected on that last lap. Just well, judged it perfectly, didn't he? Did held on to that position by going the slowest he possibly could. As you said, yeah, good race from Suzuka. Yeah, it makes it a little bit more difficult as we get into the second half of the race when you've only got one split for everyone getting spread about quite so much. But nonetheless entertaining, and we look forward to next week. And I'm not quite as organised as I was last week because I was. Oh, there we go, Silverstone. We've swapped positions. I had to jump in there last week, and Alex is ready with Silverstone for this week. So yeah, Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Yeah. Oh yeah, so 60 laps. Yeah, same length that they're going to be running in Pro and WCS. WCS was at Silverstone just last week, I believe, Alex. So what can the guys expect there for themselves next week?
Yeah, a tough race for sure. Very hard to overtake again. The dirty air there seem to have the most impact. So strategy can make a difference, and I think we genuinely will see some people choose to go for the one stop and some go for the two. Both can work depending on what happens in the race. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Worth pointing out as well that the Silverstone Grand Prix is on the same week in real life as well. So let's hope we get a really good turnout because people want to come and drive at Silverstone.
Yeah, indeed, that'll be good to see. Yeah, definitely good to see. So as I said, we'll be back next week at the same time slot. We'll confirm what the our little mini championship standings are going to be. Yeah, literally looking at the results from last week. Gary Larson finished in 7th last week, but we know he finished way down in 17th this week. The next car then to be in this race as well is Francisco Gutierrez and Michael Prudhomme, who finished 12th and 13th last time by, so they're going to jump up a fair bit, but otherwise nothing else really happening at the very front. It'd be interesting to see how that shakes out as we go through. So we shall see you all for full length race next week then at Silverstone. Remember, you can check in on the iRacing forum for the weekly race thread if you're after setups and that sort of stuff. It's the community puts them out there. We put them out there, and come and join in the hour and a half race that you're gonna have next week at Silverstone.
Awesome, thank you very much, Lee. Been a pleasure again. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you in a week's time at Silverstone.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.